Hey everybody, I'm KRX and welcome back to another sort of tour, final thoughts and commentary on the latest completed city over at the on the Twitch channel. We spent about 2.5 months working on this sucker. We're calling it Whoville. That was sort of a community vote. Why is it Whoville? I don't know, but we do have like we have like a kind of a swiggly looking Dr. Seuss style neighborhood, and we have like a Mount Crumpet and stuff. I don't want this tour to be too long. This is a pretty massive city. I think this might be the biggest contiguous city we've ever made. The last city, Snowy Towns, was kind of like all these little towns and stuff like that. This city, the idea was basically let's make it one big singular city. And I think we did a good job accomplishing that, actually. If we just kind of do the zoom out here, this is kind of what we're looking at here. And I'm really happy with it. We did use real-time mod and realistic population as well. So that's going to give us like these nice sort of transitions between the low dense and the high dense, or the right ratios, right? Which I was also talking about in the Snowy Town tour as well, but it also kind of helped us here create sort of a nice ebb and flow between having a certain amount of low density and a certain amount of high density. This is essentially where the entire city started, right here, what ultimately became Snail Town. So we've done a snail before. I think the Chatskate had a snail going on. Here we have a nice little Papa Green Park in here, and we have the actual snail comes in. A little bit sort of in the shell of the snail, we have a little tram stop that goes down what we're calling the yellow brick road here into a commercial area. If we zoom out here, we're going to see that there are different sort of residential neighborhoods, very different designs. I mean, this one's kind of was meant to be like a lower income, smaller houses, lower income housing. That was the idea. We're just trying different things. This is the actual Whoville neighborhood, just the swiggly bits. There's a bunch of little cul-de-sacs here that we kind of put together using just like a little, basically you build a large road at the end of a skinny road, and it sort of creates this kind of a cul-de-sac little look to it a little bit. Here we have like, I guess, a Wi-Fi district or something. Here's our grand, this kind of looks like a grand piano. It wasn't really intended to be anything, but you know, we got some detail up in here. Nothing too crazy. We added some parking lots in between some of these commercial buildings, and we have an elementary school here. This was actually the first time we ever used the European assets. So it's a mix of the European stuff and the international stuff. And we kind of utilize that a bit in some of the areas to kind of give the idea that we have sort of an older style city that is being modernized. So here we have some older sort of brick factory buildings here, but as you kind of get out of this sort of what would have been the old district and you see the expansion of the new district, we start to see the newer buildings here and such. No, it just did some interesting little work here, you know, just kind of poking around, doing little experiments, right? Having these little wind turbines fenced off with little, these are actually earthquake sensors, but they kind of look like little just utility sheds or boxes or something like that that go with the wind turbine. It kind of makes sense. A little bit of a sort of a place where people get checked in here before they head in. How does this look actually? Perfect. Perfect. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, this was the original sort of neighborhood here. The original commercial was on this little drag, and then we had the original industry. And then we sort of just built towards the water. And by the time we got to this here, this is actually the rail. The rail line was naturally here, but we ended up sort of depressing it down so that we could get bridges across it and so on and so forth. So we kind of have this depressed rail here, but the rail actually came this way. And this rail initially divided the low density neighborhoods from the high density down, like the initial downtown. Again, with the idea of it being an old, kind of an older city that's being modernized, we wanted the first downtown area to be European downtown. And I'm really happy with how this actual grid system kind of worked out. There is a pattern to it. Like this kind of mirrors this a little bit, and then we have this and this, but this can't quite be like this because this roundabout here is different than this corner here, so on and so forth. But I'm really, really happy with how this European sort of downtown ended up coming together quite a bit. Got using the redwoods to a decent effect. A little bit of a train station here off of the main train rail there. Some different little sort of, you know, we got the trams that are coming through here and they go all through the downtown, which is cool. We're a little university campus. You know, we could spend probably like an hour doing like a really thorough tour of everything. I'm kind of just looking at some of the things that we spent the most time on. We have the Christmas tree nature park here. which I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. We have a little kayaking cove right down here as well. People can come down here and kind of touch the water and go kayaking. Otherwise, it's more just for hiking, observations, and things like that. We use this canal to kind of get in kind of a man-made look to this area, which it already kind of did look kind of man-made, but this kind of just made it a little bit, gave an explanation to the jankiness, right? Gave a little bit of an explanation to the jankiness. We didn't actually cross the river until much, much later in the development of the city. We ended up doing a sort of a tourist area here. We have kind of a different little park here with some different ideas, the little swirly bits, kind of reminiscent of Chat Beach. So this is like a little camping area. This is more like the activity area for the beach park. These little areas here where we never really filled out the whole beach this way. We're kind of just experimenting, seeing what we liked, what we didn't like, just trying some different things here, leaving some of the beach a little bit more of a natural vibe. And we have the hotels here. These hotels were hand placed with the Find It mod. So we decided which hotels we wanted to use. As you can see, those hotels that I really despise are not present here. And then we have like leisure and stuff like that sort of going out to this main road. This main road ended up being a big traffic issue, but for the most part, I think we maintained traffic at about 80% the entire time. You know, it might go down, it might dip down. I mean, it was a constant battle. There were situations where we had complete deadlock on these roads here because this is not highway. This is not highway. We have just a bunch of intersections here. We do have a lot of timed traffic lights that we set up though. So we did a lot of traffic manager work on this road to get this lane distribution, that really, really good lane distribution, constantly working on that. But look at that. Look at that lane distribution. Have you seen anything so more amazing than that? Oh man, that's so nice. We spent a lot of time working on that though. Got this little plateau up here with some eco housing, some high density sort of on this little ridge there. Coming down along the water, we had the one of two harbors. This one causes tons of traffic because just hundreds of people get off this thing and just spill out into cars, and it just becomes complete chaos. And actually, our public transportation was pretty good. We got this monorail that goes along the water. We can see that here. And it goes all the way around the entire coastline. We had a decent metro line that we eventually put in because the traffic was just completely gnarly. We ended up getting rid of the metro because it was bugging out. It was getting stuck, which is weird because I've never seen metro get stuck before. Like a single line of metro that's just supposed to go back and forth. I've never seen that get stuck before, but it was. It was getting stuck, and I wasn't sure what was going on, so we just got rid of it, which is kind of sad because then it caused issues and stuff. But nice little park out here. This is sort of, again, that theme of like an older city that we're building on top of, right? World War II bunkers out here. We even have some standing stones that we did not place the World War II bunkers or the standing stones. These were already on the island. And we built the park around these historical sites, which is really cool. We put in the London Eye, which I think turned out really, really cool there. We ended up doing one of our first monuments ever, actually. The space elevator. I find that a lot of the monuments are cheaty, very sort of cheat. Basically, they're cheats, right? They help you sort of give you a ton of land value, or give you a ton of health or coverage or whatever, right? This one doesn't really do anything except for just spawn a bunch of tourism, which equates to traffic. Not so much money, but traffic. So I don't really think that this is much of a cheat. It was kind of fun to put it in there, and it actually looks pretty good. And we did a bunch of the rocks here to kind of give it like a special, kind of a special little jetty vibe, I guess. Tucked in some industrial here as well, with the sort of cargo harbor that connects in with rail and such. Lots of different experimentation on these low dense neighborhoods. Did a little bit of detailing in some of these areas, but not a lot. Mostly it's just zoned. But I really like the parking lot work that we did in some of these areas. We kind of got lazy with the parking lots eventually, but having these sort of going through the local produce. This is just like sort of like a big grocery store area, local business and stuff in the middle of a larger neighborhood. A little bit of a park here with some fencing around it. Just some nice little touches. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. In the middle, we cannot ignore this, of course. In the middle, we have this giant nature reserve, which I'm super happy about. All these little winding little bits and switchbacks and hikes all the way up to the different peaks, the different peaks, and some really cool campsites, high elevation, low elevation, all kinds of campsites here. Here, this is kind of a mix of cabins and lean shelters and tents and such. Then if you come over here, we can see like a nice sort of campsite here. We have like this castle over here. Sorry if it's a little bit laggy. This city's actually running really poorly, but hopefully we're maintaining a good quality on the video, because the quality, the settings for the video recording should be a lot higher than they were previously. So we should be getting a good quality picture, even if Unfortunately, there's a little bit of sort of frame drops and stuff like that, just because the city is like getting kind of lagging. That's why we're going to be starting a new one here soon on the Twitch channel, building that from scratch. Just some different, like, I'm really, really happy with this nature park. There is a cable car. It doesn't go through the park. It goes kind of around it. But we have hundreds of people using it. Here's sort of our Mount Crumpet. We never really built any way to get up to the top, but we can go inside the Mount Crumpet here, which is pretty neat. We have some campsites here. I actually really like kind of how that kind of like turned out here, to be honest. And then this is mostly just filling, right? This is kind of just generic filling through here. Just trying to put in mixing in some sort of a secondary downtown here around the mountain, base of the mountain on that side, on the north side. Some housing here, some sort of apartment, some European sort of housing and apartments. Oh, we never came in with trees there, actually. That's kind of a little bit janky. This is kind of an interesting little park. It's kind of a combination between a city park, some very mild theme park elements, some nature park things like the rock climbing and such. Very kind of a mixture of a park. Kind of, a little bit of an identity crisis there, but it looks okay. And I like the parking for it too. I think that's kind of neat. We did eventually have to turn off real parking AI, because it really does lag up the city quite a bit as it gets bigger and bigger. I think we got up to 160,000 pop with this city though, which is really, really cool. So again, we just, kind of continuing on different kinds of, so a little bit of European sort of mixed in there. Just kind of filling this space here. Lots of different kinds of interchanges. This is one's just very bog standard interchange. We kind of looked like we could have gone this way, but decided not to. And here's a big unique factory area. So this is kind of fun, right? We don't build a lot of these, but this was fun to kind of dedicate an entire industrial area to these big, giant, unique factories and corporations, sort of businesses and stuff. Here, I think they were making electric cars. But here it's like, that's not with industries. This one's with the high-tech building asset pack that you can get from Paradox. But it was made by a community member, and then Paradox sells it for them through the Steam store. So we have some different unique factories, though, that are mostly, most of these big giant ones are industries. We have a little bit of an oil industry here, nothing for extraction, only secondary processing. And that's because we needed this stuff for the factories. A lot of the factories, actually the complicated ones, require oil, secondary oil. Actually, I see what we could do to fix this little traffic issue that we got going here. Here's our theme park, though. This is kind of cool, I think. Come into a sort of another world, and then it's got a lot of different things. It actually has its own bus line that goes through the park and actually drops people off in the middle of the park. How cool is that? But yeah, this theme park, I don't know. I think we did a good job with it. The little bit of an enchanted forest through this section. A little bit of a food court here, some different rides. Here you actually enter the park. Look at this. You actually enter the park through these unique buildings, the Sphinx, that we added a couple of those on the side entrances. It still says we kind of just imposed these using Move It. We imposed these on top of the actual entrance, and it kind of gave a kind of a cool effect. But I love the fact that we ended up putting a bus line through there. I think that's a really cool theme park. I think we did a good job. We probably needed vegetation and rocks and stuff in here. This was the last thing we did, so I don't think we really did it to our fullest potential. You can see we didn't even really fix this key. Probably should have wrapped around and stuff like that too. This was the last downtown area we put in, just a very standard grid-based downtown area, just to kind of fill this space. I don't particularly love it, but I kind of like how we have this sort of culture drag right here. The theater, couple different theaters, the Modern Art Museum, Opera House, so on and so forth, Grand Central Park, so on and so forth. Kind of cool. This is our little interchange that looks like a dancing dude. This is our agricultural area, which I'm pretty happy with how the agricultural area turned out. Also has the rocket launch site and some solar power and stuff like that. So primary agricultural here, crop growing, and here's the processing over here mostly. Just a bunch of sort of utility buildings and stuff tucked in. I think I really, really like this, how we tucked in like a little bit of a these little neighborhoods, sort of farm towns, sort of like tucked on this main road, but it doesn't technically connect to the main road. It connects off these side roads that are in the actual agricultural area. So I think that was really, really cool. Here's our French horn, the French horn interchange. This was a trumpet. We converted it into a four-way. Trumpet, of course, is a three-point interchange by default, and we made it into a four-point interchange. And we're calling it the French horn now, so that's kind of cool. The airport, National Airport, with some extra some hotels here, and a little bit of detailing, unique parks, some leisure, things like that. Kind of a more rural neighborhood out here. Then we had this little swiggly bit up here with these nice sort of eco high-end apartment complexes. This was someone's idea to put some really nice apartment buildings up here, and I think it turned out great. This whole thing kind of looks like a uvula, which is kind of funny to me. Put a little pond in there, why not? A little tiny little fountain in there as well. Kind of goofy, but honestly it looks kind of cool. And the view from up here at night is amazing. View up here from is amazing. Some more rural neighborhoods up here. Kind of like the layout. Maybe it doesn't look the best, but I kind of like the layout. We have the zoo. The idea with the zoo is to kind of space everything out a little bit. Keep it like every exhibit kind of had its own area. We actually did a double take on the giraffe exhibit to try to make it feel like it was one large area with a lot of thick trees and stuff like that in the middle for them to, you know, have shelter and hide and stuff like that. We actually ended up putting some of these trees on top of, I think we actually planted some of these trees like inside the exhibit to just kind of make it look like it all harmonized a bit better using prop anarchy, which I thought was kind of cool. Kind of an interesting way to make these exhibits look a little bit more real and less stand out. Looks like we're getting a little bit of rain here, actually. We have the stadium out here on this other. So eventually we built over to here. This was actually much later. We built across. We have these 3 main bridges, but we have pedestrian pathways and we have rail and such. A few different pedestrian pathways actually crossing there. This is kind of nice here. We have the downtown. Again, it's like if you look at it, it's basically the downtown is on the water, right? Not counting like a little bit of downtown here. Like later downtowns that we added later on are kind of pushed out. But mostly it's like there's this big, giant, sort of low dense area here, like this entire thing of low dense. Then there's a little bit of downtown out here. Good downtown out here. But then most of it's on the water, right? Most of it's on the water. So we have this here. It looks like we're getting some intense rain here. Kind of a bummer. We have the the ore industry, actually. And I'm really happy with how this ore industry looked out. You know, sorry guys, I take a pause here. We're going to get rid of the dynamic weather so we can actually see what's going on. And yep, here we have some of the ore extraction, which I think is really cool. The processing down here, not very detailed, but overall I think it came out kind of cool. I really like the extraction sites. Over here we have forestry, kind of standard, but again, you know, the extraction sites up here in the hills, processing down here more, furniture factory, just some other things going on. I think it looks kind of neat. It looks like an interesting area. It definitely looks like a sequestered off for logging or something like that. And that is the city, guys. That is the city. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you have questions about the city or anything else, you know, feel free to pop into the Twitch channel or comment on the YouTube video itself, and I will get back to you on that. Heck, I'll send you screenshots. I'll put a Discord link down below. So if you have any questions, you can ask there. I can answer any questions about the city or the mods that we used. I'll have the mod list for the city down below as well. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching this tour and final thoughts for Whoville. This was probably the best city we've ever made, to be honest. Definitely spent the most time on it, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So thank you so much, everybody. I will see you guys in the next one.